Most of the organizations I always have seen, because of the larger revenues coming from the large enterprise, you end up missing out on the mid layer. Then we went deep into it and then we figured out, yes, this makes sense. Then we end up creating mid-market or commercial segment as a separate arm, and that is one of the biggest growth engine we have. The buying behavior of all these different industries or segments are very different, and that's where the personalization start happening.
Hello and welcome to the HT Brand Leadership Series. I'm your host Rajesh Kumar and I'm so glad you're tuning in. After spending 3 decades in B2B marketing in companies like UiPath, SAP and Microsoft, I now help startups as a fractional CMO and as a board advisor. I love B2B marketing and my book on decoding B2B marketing is coming out soon on Amazon. This is a special segment in HT Brand Leadership Series focused on B2B marketing, where we bring you the most accomplished B2B marketers in each episode to break down complexity, to simplify, provide clarity, unpack what is real, what is hype, and give you some quick actions and learnings to take back from it. Ready? So let's decode together. And we have today Kaustubh Chandra, fondly known as KC, Chief Marketing Officer and SVP of Digital Sales at Airtel Business. Kaustubh and I first met 10 years ago when he was at IBM. We hit it off and have stayed connected ever since. Kaustubh is someone who blends the science and art of marketing, making and crafting marketing strategies that resonate with customers and drive impact. Passionate about people, process, technology and culture, he brings an unparalleled flair with his straight talk and his characteristic josh that always makes for a great conversation. So let's welcome Kaustubh. Hi Kaustubh.
Hi, Rajesh.
Thank you for coming on the show. So glad to meet you.
Thank you, Rajesh, for having me.
So Kaustubh, I'm very curious to know what got you into B2B marketing. What's been your journey like? What's been your highs and lows? And actually, would you do it all over again if you had an opportunity?
Interesting first question. So, marketing happened to me by chance actually. I always thought that I will go into HR as a function. During my MBA, I was like, in fact, I started my internship under an CHRO. And by the time I finished that internship, I got a pre-placement offer from the marketing team of the same organization. That's how I got into marketing, and I think it's been fantastic, 20 plus years. But if not this, then what? I think I would have been, playing in IPL for sure. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
or playing some sport professionally.
Yeah. Oh, that's what keeps you so fit, I can tell. And also, I think marketing is as much about people, so I can see the connection of, the curiosity for human behavior and translating both into HR, and that has probably continued into the close connection you make between culture and how it makes people successful and the type of culture you develop in your people who work for you and work with you.
No, absolutely. I think that's what, I think you just summed it up for me. That was the reason why I always felt thought that, HR is the right calling because of the way I used to get connected with people, the way I used to get people together, work with people, bring everyone together. But then I figured out, and then marketing happened, and I think then that marketing became my calling, and I think this is exactly what I've been trying to do in whichever organization I've worked with, and I think till now, if you ask me, I think it's been fantastic the way this has helped me personally in driving the agendas of the organization from a marketing perspective and building culture.
No, absolutely. Now I'm going to ask you something on the analytical side of your mind.
Okay.
Like, as they say, market before marketing. And so many times I see people starting on marketing tactics without understanding the opportunity and where to go. So tell me, and you've done it multiple times across all your assignments, how do you size a market opportunity? How do you even segment it? And how do you prioritize and figure out where you want to invest?
Okay, so I am trying to, I'm going to give you a very simplified answer. I will try not to use jargons, because the moment segmentation...
I will love you for that,
yeah,
and the audience will love you for that.
Yeah, because the moment somebody says segmentation, suddenly, a lot of jargon start coming out. There are models and all of that. See, at the end of the day, segmentation for an organization is very unique for, to that organization, right? So, and fortunately, I've got the opportunity quite early in my career that I end up, reporting, be part of the management teams and working alongside the CEO and the business heads, and that actually gave me an opportunity to really work on the segmentation. And I, with every organization, I try to simplify it further, because one of the biggest jobs we have is how do we simplify the way people look at things, or the way they should understand things, right? So segmentation, the way I see it, it's very simple. Before you get into that whole exercise, first you need to understand your organization, you need to understand your products, you need to understand your services, or whichever area the organization is into. You also need to parallelly look into what has been your existing kind of customers, kind of lifetime value from the kind of customers you've been getting, which are your, so dividing the entire customers, existing customers into, couple of different, sub-segments, and then, plot it against your overall, the kind of product, and where this also gets married to where you want to be, right? Usually, if you look at the India scenario, every second B2B tech company wants to focus on the top 500, right? That's been the name of the game. But the fact of the matter is, which are those 500? Now, it's not necessary or important that if something which is relevant, top 500 which is relevant for a company will be relevant for a B company also, right? So, and that's where the whole firmographic data, the technographic data, the buying behavior, existing buying behavior, which is your primary data sitting in your system. You also use third-party data, because now, thankfully, with the advent of now Gen AI, and earlier, we've seen multiple other tools out there in the market. Now it has gone to the next level. You can actually use that to get you the right third-party data. So primary data which you already have, which is there in your system, or something which you have gotten from your customer immersions, your face-to-face interactions, and so on and so forth. Secondary data, which is about, let's say, the Gartners, the Forresters, and all of that, which the reports, who really work on these reports. And then third-party data, because that's where you actually get something, which you're not even looking at. And that also helps you to beef up the whole segmentation, because segmentation is not just about, okay, I'm going to enterprise, these are the set of accounts, or mid-market, or SMB, or government and PSU. It's also about which are the kind of personas. You need to also define that as well, right? So I think some of those things get into life once you put all of that in front of you, and then, you will get a complete sense of the way it's going to come together. I think that's how I've been going about it. And the biggest, I think the biggest advantage has been with me, I think, because I was not doing it sitting somewhere in the silos. I was doing it along with the business, right? Business has to be completely in sync on this, because you're not, and once that is done, right? So for example, in NTT, and I can talk about that, and this is like 5, 6 years, 7 years back, suddenly with the whole merger of 31 companies within NTT, and it got formed as a new entity at that point in time, which is already now rebranded as NTT Data. But at that point in time, there was a full focus on top 500 accounts. India as a market, you tell me, is growth happening only in the top 500 accounts, given the, the kind of growth we have seen in last 10 years, especially, right? So the conversation with my CEO was that, okay, why don't we then create two parts to it? Let's decide the top 6, let's not limit ourselves to just 500 accounts. Let's look at, okay, what is the right set of accounts which my ground senior sales team should be focusing on, right? And what is out of that? And what kind of revenues and signings we can expect from those accounts? And what is that icing on the cake which we can get from outside those accounts? And that's how we divided these two parts. That is where the whole digital sales motion was born in, at that point. And I have to thank Kiran Bhagnani for that, who was then CEO. He completely, trusted us on that, and we then end up building it. So basically, we end up having two motions, and we were the only country who had two motions. One focusing on 600, top 600, 700 odd accounts. Anything outside that becomes white space. The whole idea is that if you're not with some of those hyper growth organizations in that white space, segment, how do you expect them to, talk to you once they are, they have already become bigger? And that's where, every year we see almost like 50, 60 organizations moving from that small or medium segment to a large enterprise segment as well. So I think that's how we have solved it. And then we go deep into defining these 650 odd accounts, personas, ICPs, technography, firmography, but all of that blend together, and then making sure that, what ultimately the outcome. Everything has to be linked to outcome. And then you end up measuring it and tracking it on a regular basis. So that's how I have, I've been doing things. But I think the non-negotiables in this is a complete in sync with business team, because without that you can't just do it alone. And once you're able to do that as a marketing team, that's when you can actually build and do some really out of this world campaigns which will have an impactful ROI to showcase as well. Sorry, a very long answer.
No, it's perfect. You actually took care of my next two questions. That's what happens when two marketers talk to each other. So tell me, I'm curious, give me one example where you question the status quo in where to go, or how do you see the market segment, and it helped bring more efficiency, more sharpness, more directedness. And maybe also a case where you saw a pitfall, because there are lots of pitfalls in the process, where you see this not getting done well and it created issues, and what were the learnings from there?
Interesting one. So one of the recent examples have been, where we saw where we saw success is, without naming the organization, obviously. This organization have been focusing on a couple of segments only, right? And like any other B2B tech company, enterprise, government and PSU, and then if you have the products for the long tail, which is SMB, you just end up doing that, right? Most of the organizations I always have seen, because of the larger revenues coming from the large enterprise, you end up missing out on the mid layer. And that's where I have seen those are the set of companies who end up working with, no offenses, but they end up working with tier 2, tier 3 partners. They also want to work with the larger players, right? I think that's something which, again, this was, I can't say that, I thought about it, but with one of the business CEOs, we sat down, I presented to the CEO, and then we went deep into it, and then we figured out, yes, this makes sense. Then we end up creating mid-market or commercial segment as a separate arm, and that is one of the biggest growth engine we have. Are we there? No. But there is a lot of things which we are trying to do in that segment, and I think we've seen the growth. Where it has not worked, I think in one of the other organizations, I just felt that SMB is something which we need to cater to, given the kind of product we've the kind of product lines we had. We worked on it, and we tried to, we launched it as well for that segment, tried to build that segment. But then somehow what I realized is that it was not about the product. And that's when I realized, and this was like 10 years back, it's never, the success of a segment doesn't lie in the kind of only with the kind of product, whether you have the right product or not. It's also about how do you have the right after sales service? Do you have the right customer experience stitched in? All of that need to really come together, and I think we were not ready for that. So that, I think, was not a great decision. But the reason why I would actually rate that higher, because that taught me something which is helping me till today. So I think, yeah.
I'm so glad. Actually, very few people, especially when they are so successful, look at learnings. This is a great quality. I quite resonate with what you said. When I've seen myself, enterprise segment, true enterprise really being account management, and then the cost of sales issues come in. But when you go to the next segment, which is wanna be enterprise or will get there in a few years' time, they're obviously growing faster. So your opportunity to grow with them is higher. And there you can get an opportunity management type of model. And as you go below SMB, that gets a transaction, type of model. I mean, some of the cases where I have seen it fail is either not limiting it geographically, going and doing spray and pray, and where you don't have the ability to serve it from a sales perspective.
It doesn't work anymore. It doesn't. This spray and pray doesn't work. Oh, absolutely.
That's a waste of money. Yeah. Other, I've seen industry. I mean, one of my roles when I saw we were trying to sell software to companies, and we realized there were this set of companies very high in turnover, but they were not buying. But when you double clicked, you realize many of them were trading organizations. They had very little people. Like oil trading company had a 3,000 crore turnover, but very few people. So they were not going to.
No, you're absolutely right. In fact, you actually brought up a very, very pertinent point, which is, see, when you ask me about segmentation, right, one of the biggest pieces is also, which once you're able to, do that first and second layer, the third layer comes in is when you move into the industry specific. Because again, it's no more a spray and pray. Something which resonates. So you have let's say for example, you have a particular product around, let's say, customer engagement, right? For a manufacturing company, it means something else versus a BFSI or a banking or a financial services, right? Now, can you take the same message to a manufacturing, the same manufacturing, same message which you're taking to manufacturing to a banking? The answer is no, right? And that's where the personalization start happening, right? So, see, gone are those days where you can just, go and spray and pray. Even to an extent, even when you look at SMB also, it's all about today's, what I've seen, what has been working for us, it's about looking every month, every quarter, we look at the kind of wins we have had in SMB, for example, right? And then we try to figure out lookalikes of that. Yeah. What have we pitched to those, even in the SMB, we are trying to do that. And that is something, and the moment you go deep, that's when you realize, what has worked and what is not. And that's when you end up building, volume out of it. So you're absolutely right. And that industry out thinking, and it's not just about the value proposition. It's about your approach, how you're reaching out to those, that particular industry, personas versus.
Yeah, it really goes into the market fit scenario. Like maybe for a telecom business, you have great market with media and OTT type of companies. I've seen earlier operating system software huge with IT services because they have so many people, on every machine. And nowadays you can see cloud services for digital natives. They may be small on their own, but they are a huge consumption for so many of the new age companies.
And again, look at whatever you just said. The buying behavior of all these different industries or segments are very different, right? Your digital native buy like this, right? They don't spend time, if you're going to wait for, tell them that, give me 1 week and I'll get you, I need a PO and all that. It doesn't work like that.
So let's change tack now. Tell me, how do you bring brand and demand together? Classical question in B2B always. And then we'll jump into a little bit into funnel management and so on.
I think first of all, these are, not two different things. The way I have seen it working for me and the organizations I have worked, and I've seen some of the most successful peer and friends of friends I have in the industry, I think the one common thread is that they I think brand and demand just come together. They you have to have an integrated approach to it. Gone are those days when as B2B marketers we are for the longest time, and you have been part of that journey, and in fact you're one of those few CMOs who actually brought the whole brand and ROI together, right? So brand in B2B will always be a slow burner, but ultimately it aids in the long-term demand. I cannot say today that I will only work on demand today and I'm going to work because we are small and we will work on the brand tomorrow. Because the problem is the moment and this is happening, and I can see that this is happening with a lot of startups, because everyone feels that building brand means investing money. Today that's not the case, right? You have so many channels out there with which you can still build your brand over a period of time, as long as in your head you are very clear about your strategy and how you want to go about in the market, right? And the way we've been doing it, in fact, a classic example is the Airtel Business I work for, right? So where the moment you say Airtel, right, it you think about mobility, you think about telecom, you think about broadband, right? DTH. Hardly people used to think about B2B. But do I want everyone out there in the market to know about B2B? The answer is no, right? I only want my key ICPs, key customer profiles, and the personas to know me, right? And this is a fantastic prefix I can ever have. I mean, so a lot of people ask me that, this must be a hindrance. I actually look at it that this is the biggest, advantage I have, because that gets me a foot in the door. From there, how we go about building the perception about B2B, what we do in B2B, which is, how big it is and what kind of work we're doing, it's something which is up to, not just, up to marketing, but also with the sales organization as well. So this needs to really come together. The way we brought it together, one is obviously what we need to, the largest strategy we have, which, through which bring all the channels together and have an integrated. So for us, everything really, comes in, we look at it, the entire team, as a team, we look at it in integrated manner. My PR, my AR, my social, my events, even my leaders, what they're talking about, all of that need to really come together. That has to be a holistic way of looking at it. It's not that, one PR comes out and you just know. It's about thinking that long term, and you have a, very clear thing. And how is it going to impact my top of the funnel? Ultimately, that's where this whole piece of brand thing actually helps me in my top of the funnel and mid of the funnel. Now there'll be a lot of somebody can ask me, and you can ask me that what do you do in top of the funnel, mid of the funnel? There are multiple things you can do, right? But I think then that means that we need to really spend another 2 hours to really go deep on that.
I'm going to actually ask you some of that, but I think it's an important point you made, because compared to B2C, in a lot of cases, B2B isn't an impulse purchase. Usually relationships are really long term. You go through a complex buying process. Trust is very precious commodity.
Yeah.
So they have to trust you to be with them, for them, there for a long time.
Absolutely.
If you just start with a sales approach or a leads approach, people don't know where you're coming from. Because, imagine they buy connectivity from you, or they buy a software, and they invest time in implementing it, putting their data on it. They cannot walk away tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely not.
Right? So therefore, before starting, they want to have that trust and that comfort. That's where brand comes in.
Oh, absolutely. And again, like I said, it's a slow burning process. It will get built over a period of time. And not just by doing that, it also gets built by the way you are giving up, customer, how you're doing customer, making sure that the customer experience is right up there.
Yeah.
Right? How is your teams on the ground are interacting with the customer, right? So, I mean, there are multiple tenets to building a brand and creating a brand image and perception.
Absolutely,
right?
super important. Especially, I think companies or startups are starting new. Sometimes, because of resource pressure or urgency, tend to not think of it enough. But in the longer term, for success, for getting right price for what they are, the value they are providing, and be able to serve the customer back, it's a really, really important investment.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So tell me, Casey, about how do you handle a very complex operation? What flavors or what nuances you see when you go across geographies and different customer segment sizes, and then how do you manage that staying relevant from a brand perspective and doing the right tactics from a demand perspective?
Okay, so yes, as you rightly said, we cater to 5 different, as Airtel Business, we cater to 5 different segments, right? Basically global, which is one of the biggest businesses, and then within domestic, large enterprise, again named accounts, mid-market, SMB, which is a long tail, and then public sector and the government business, right? Now, if you look at and on top of that, you add the, 6 different portfolios, right? And each one of them talking to different personas. Because in security, and outside connectivity is my core, but in last few years, I think, that is one of the best things which I've seen any telco has done, not because I'm a part of it, but, build this whole, anything and everything around the connectivity, connectivity at the core and on the periphery. So, IoT is a big business for us. CPaaS is another piece, which we've been building really well. Cloud and security has become really, really important. Then data center is again, Nextra, which is our data center, and that is something, which is, now if you look at it, connectivity has always been at the core, right? And this also adds, the reason why I, talk about it is because now each of these portfolios or businesses, you don't sell it to one CXO, right? In security, you have to go and talk to a CISO. In CPaaS, which is my customer platform, communication platform as a service, there you are talking to, which is a customer engagement platform. You are talking to a chief experience officer, you're talking to a chief operating officer, you're also talking to a chief business officer, depending on, or a chief marketing officer, depending on where exactly that customer engagement you are doing, right? Then the moment you come to cloud and connectivity, you're talking to the CIO and the CTO organization. Data center again is the infrastructure play. So you're talking about a complete plethora of different personas, and now add, this complexity gets added to the segments. But the way we try to look at it, and again, for us, simplification has always been at the, at the core and at the top, has been the top priority. We will not be able to sell everything in every segment, right? So we have to be very clear what sells in global and where I need to go forward with. In large enterprise, how do we really, the lifetime value, how do we keep on increasing the market share in each of these accounts, and with what kind of products? Because, for example, especially in the larger companies, you will find Airtel Business everywhere as the connectivity partner, right? For us, the opportunity is how do we go to beyond connectivity, and that's something which has, that's been our focus. So, depending on the industry within enterprise, we try to, we build campaigns and value proposition accordingly, and we go and try to talk to different personas there. Similarly, when it comes to mid-market, which is somewhere, again, their buying behavior is also very different from a large enterprise versus an SMB. But, thankfully, the sales cycle is slightly shorter. But then again, there also you cannot just take whatever you've been taking to a large enterprise account, because the needs are slightly different. So there also you have to just, figure out which is going to be your lead set of solutions or products you want to lead with. And then similarly, which you're going to be, going later on with. And SMB again, identifying those, because it's a volume game, right? It's a run rate business. Which are those products which are making sense and which we have seen growing really well. You just focus on that and you keep building the whole thing. That's how you go about it.
No, great. But something comes to my mind, Casey. Given such a complex web of things you handle, how do you go about allocating investment, and how do you track success? How do you even, measure sort of, ROI, or what does success look like? How do you handle that? You have to
This
do a
is
lot of
actually the
planning.
favorite part of, whenever somebody asks me, this is actually my favorite part, because I'm a marketer who always believed in that every single rupee or dollar which you spend as a marketing team, you need to know what ROI you're bringing to the table. Now, ROI doesn't mean tangible always, right? There are a lot of things as a marketer you'll end up doing which will be intangible, but as a marketing team, as a marketing leader, you need to define it upfront. If it is intangible, but that intangible also, how you need to define it, how will you still measure it? If it is about sentiment analysis which you will look at, or the growth in the, there are multiple ways in which you can do it, and that's something which, have I cracked it till now? No, I haven't cracked it, but I'm very clear that, when I'm starting a journey or when I'm starting a campaign, what are my intangible ROIs which we need to look at, and what are very clearly tangible, and then we go after it. So the only measurement I look at, and I look at, I want to get measured on, and I'm getting measured on, is marketing contribution to the order book, right? We started 4 years back. We started at, that's when we end up building, and I have to thank all my, leaders, and the way this organization, the kind of DNA this organization has. They believe in something and they just let you be and, drive it and build it. And, kudos to, I've not worked with a better organization than Airtel Business, for that matter. And we build the whole thing, and that's the only pain of truth is that contribution. And yes, that is, but then to arrive at it, you always have to define the input metric. So when I am talking to my team, and this is something which I've learned in last 5 years, and I'm telling you, for the longest time I was only looking at the outcome. And then I realized that till the time you're getting the outcome, you're great, you're happy, but the moment it starts dipping in for whatever reason, that's when you start, going helter-skelter, right? And now today we are very clear. When I'm sitting with my team, I'm looking at input metric. Are we doing taking care of all those input metric like a clockwork? Because if we are able to do that, outcome will happen.
All right. So tell me, so firstly, something came to my mind. Somebody told me once, and it aptly fits you when you describe that. A head of marketing is a business leader first, marketer second. So he or she is a business leader that happens to perfect the craft of marketing, because it really starts from owning the business, and then everything tends to fall in place. One specific thing I'm keen to know about: you were instrumental in building the digital sales group in your current job, and with the benefit of digital and tele, it's a big thing now. So talk to us about what does it take, and what are the learnings for any companies that may want to build it out for India or for the world out of here.
Sure. So digital sales group, actually, this is the third time in my last 15, 16 years especially, I end up building, and every time when I build it, it was slightly different from the previous time. In my, currently the way we build it is in the way I see it, digital sales is that connector or that catalyst which is sitting right between your marketing and your business. Because tell me, you've been, not you've been, but you're also, helping so many organizations. Can you tell me, do you believe that as marketing, whatever we run as campaigns, and can we send all the leads directly to the sales force? No, right?
Never.
And there is an investment. Forget about the money you are spending, the time and energy, and so much of resources which is going into building those campaigns, running those campaigns, and response coming. Who is that team which is actually taking it, qualifying, validating it, qualifying it, and then passing it to the sales teams, where they started seeing a value that, okay, this team is helping me build my funnel, right? And then they also start working with that team and with marketing, saying that, guys, because a sales team, a salesperson will always be inundated with his weekly closure, monthly closure, quarterly closure and year's number, right? Who is thinking about the next lever of growth? Who's thinking about, okay, that funnel needs to be, always right up there. And I think that's where I see an opportunity. I always saw that opportunity, and that's how we end up, working with the business and the sales team. So today, for example, the way it works here for us is it's very clear. The business, the marketing, DSG and sales work very, very in tandem, right? The campaigns which we are running, the marketing's job is to generate response through whatever we do. At the end of the day, apart from the perception build and all of that, any campaign and anything which you do, it will generate a response, whether it's digital, offline or whatever. This team actually does three things for us. One, they are aligned to, first of all, the way they are structured, they are aligned to each of the segments. So, which means what? They are also have very clearly focused on the white space in that segment, so that they need to keep beefing up the account intelligence. They need to keep getting more account intelligence, creating that account synopsis, and end up interacting or reaching out to the right profile in that account to get a meeting set for themselves as well as for the salesperson on the ground. The second thing which they do is whenever there is a response, and this is the first part they do themselves, right? That's the kind of engine and system we have built. Second, any response which comes in through the system, they immediately further validate it, qualify it, and then they reach out to the right customer, right KDM in that account, and then move into the meeting setup or a qualified opportunity. Third thing which they do is that they work very closely with the sales teams to make sure that, where are the gaps? How can they help them with, even in their existing account, how can they really, help beefing up and helping up with more intelligence and all of that. And the last thing which we also do, we've identified certain products in certain segments where you don't need human intervention. So from lead to order, I can do end to end. Wow. And that's something which is, but I'm able, again, I'm going to bring in this very important point. The only reason me and my team, we were able to build this engine here, the way we have built it, is because we had 100% support partnership from the business team. They somehow, couple of leaders believed in whatever we were trying to do. They were the ones who supported us, and today I think I can easily say very few who don't believe, but I would say that almost 100% believe in this engine. And today I don't even have to go and ask any business leader that whether DSG is helping you or not, because they take them as their extended arm of their team.
Super. I think that's a testament to all the work you have done, Casey.
The team has done.
Kudos. All of you together. I say your leaders, yourself, people. Yes. Now tell me, something at the scale and complexity that you're handling cannot be done without the use of technology. So how did you pull together the MarTech stack for your use? And then I'm going to go to AI, how AI is impacting and use cases you see.
The
holy grail.
The holy grail of, nowadays that has become the holy grail of every conversation. No, but so Rajesh, I think, again, I have to thank the organizations I worked with earlier. So whether it was IBM or NTT, where I got the opportunity to really be a practitioner of using it, because I think during those times IBM marketing was way ahead of lot many other organizations. I got introduced to marketing automation in 2006. Right, 2006 and 7 is when the first time I actually saw and start using it and start hearing about it and start experiencing it. And then obviously, so I've been a practitioner of some of the big traditional automation tools in the market. And also in my last stint at NTT, when we got 30 odd companies together and created NTT Limited, which means you can imagine that means so many different CRMs, because 31 companies coming together, which means every company must be using some or the other CRM. Most of them, at least 50% of them, will have some or the other marketing automation tool or some marketing tool which is helping them. Now looking at it, and that's when I was, I actually moved to a global role of heading revenue marketing, wherein my global CMO asked me to help build this whole engine of, this digital demand gen engine across the globe, and also decide how the whole ABM is going to be, the way forward. And I end up seeing pretty much, all the names, and I'm not going to name some, I'm not going to name them, but I've pretty much seen all the big names, smaller names.
Tell me, how do you layer it? I mean, what are the essential layers?
So the way when we started, and I was coming to that, when I joined Airtel Business, that is also one of the key priorities which I had, wherein, I had to build the whole engine in the back end, because if you want to go do digital, if you want to reach out, you need to have a proper system in place. We started building it. So very clearly the stack is that one is that everything has to be through one pane, and that cannot be anything but your CRM, because that is what everyone is looking at. The reports which are going to come out from that is going to be the holy grail. That's how the entire organization, sales and marketing, is going to get. Source of all truth is going to be CRM. So anything which we're going to build needs to be super integrated. We're also building it for digital, DSRs as well, because they also need to log in and do that. So the way we created, we actually worked with a couple of startups. So one such was Bamboo Box, who actually came to us as a account-based engagement platform, but then we end up working with them to really build the complete automation. So they today sit right at the core of my entire automation. We have Salesforce as a CRM with us, right? And then over a period of time, we build the whole intent. So there is Bambora, which gets integrated, which comes with this platform itself. Over a period of time, we build for some of the other signals. Let's say, for example, media and PR AI is, through, that is also a big signal, which for the longest time we were not looking at, right? So that's something which we getting integrated through our, one of the other startup, which is called Viziki. Then there is another partner which we have seen, So again, what we've done is, in the last 3 years, if you ask me, we've literally looked at all the startups and all this, players who are building something interesting and try to see how do we build it. But today it's a one system, fully integrated, and the intent is baked in, the insights are baked in. So when for example, you as a key account manager, you are aligned to certain accounts. When you log in, what do you want to see? You want to see intelligence around your 10, 15, whatever accounts you have. When you open an account, do you just want to see what you have created, or you would like to see what insight am I, what data, what signals am I getting? What could be the next best action for me into a particular account? So I think some of those, that is the kind of thinking we've had, that ultimately, how am I enabling and making my sales teams on the ground much more, I would not say intelligent, because they're already intelligent guys. It's just that give them more arsenal and more structured arsenal, so that they can, instead of trying to figure out things, they should see it and then they bam. So the sales cycle, the reach out becomes better. The whole sales cycle, you can shorten it, because you're not figuring out a lot of things. So I think that's how we've been building this.
Crunching the effort for them.
Absolutely. Yeah. Ultimately, it's all about helping the business go and sell better.
How do you see AI impacting it? Any real use cases you are seeing already?
So I think we have been on this journey for quite some time, and you've heard us. Airtel has launched world's first spam-free network, which is
very
completely
useful, by the way.
Yeah. So that's those are some of the things which Airtel as a brand, as an organization, has always believed in. Look at the way recently the whole Perplexity, the relationship with Perplexity is something which we launched. I think that talks about how Airtel also sees the whole AI wave. So it's definitely an enabler, right? From a B2B standpoint, if you ask me, I think that's always there in the 3 years back, when we were thinking about building the whole automation, we actually thought about it. So the whole agent, there are agents which are sitting in my, the whole platform, which actually helps us insight better and so on and so forth. Are we there? No, we're not. Because there are a lot of experiments we keep on doing as well to get better. In terms of real use cases, for example, one definitely is in terms of how you can have an always on training and enabling your DSRs and your sales team on a regular basis, right? There are some really good tools. For example, we use Happy Sales in our DSG, in our digital sales team, where they actually do real-time pitch with the bot. They also help in personalizing the content. But obviously we have set up those clear guardrails as well as framework that how to really go about it. And one of the examples is that 2 years back when we were asked by our MD to change change the whole website because it was extremely inside out. It never used to tell us anything from a customer standpoint, and we were anyway just started the whole thing. But by the suddenly it came as that it needs to happen in 4 weeks, and thankfully we were already in the process. But it was initially the process was that it's going to take 3 months at least. Mm-hmm. But then thanks to that push which we've got, we leveraged that push from the MD in terms of getting everyone together. We were able to relaunch our entire website of more than 180 pages in 6 weeks. Wow. Changing the content, changing the look and feel.
That's quite
all of that. And you won't believe what has happened in those 6 weeks, Rajesh, that the entire team, including me, we got upskilled like never before. And since then, it has, and that 6 week also helped us to put the right framework of do's and don'ts around this entire thing. So today, do we leverage some of these tools? Yes. But there are very clear rules and regulations and guardrails which we have set, because we are a listed company at the end of the day. We can't just go out with anything, right? So some of those things we are in place. So content, definitely it is helping, but it is, again, we don't see, we see, at least I personally see AI and human always AI plus human or human plus AI. It can't be, I don't think AI is taking anyone's job. It is, not upskilling and, not being able to, have that mindset of, upskilling every now and then is the only reason why you will not have a job.
I think that what is within the job will change.
Absolutely.
Yeah? So some tasks will go away, the jobs, and many new jobs will get generated.
Absolutely.
I'm going to ask you something very close to my own heart, very different from marketing. How do you think the organizational culture impacts success of a team or success of marketing? And because marketing is also a contributor, marketing is usually the go-to person for building your employer brand and sort of nurturing and messaging, evangelizing the culture. So what's been your take? I know there's something you care a lot about as well.
Oh, this is extremely close to my heart. Why? Because I think, let me just tell you this story. I think last 4.5 years since the time I joined this organization, Airtel, I think I've had the best of my best time of my entire career, right? Why? Because the kind of belief this organization has on its people, right? Empowering everyone to the last. The hierarchies doesn't matter. Every person on the ground can take a call, and that's where responsibility, like with great power comes great responsibility, and I think that's exactly what happens, right? I think this culture, what I have seen and what I have experienced here, has actually helped me do a lot of things which I always used to think about, but I was not able to do in not many of the previous organizations. It's not that I've not done it, but here I got that opportunity slightly, very differently, right? This culture really helps in building a high-performing, super high-performing team. And high performance doesn't mean always about number. It's about how you're bringing people together, how people are coming together, how it is getting, how the business, different functions of the organization are coming together, right? And I think marketing as a function and CMO or as a marketing head, I very strongly feel that we have the opportunity to really own that space. We have the opportunity to work with our CEO and the CHRO and some of the other functional leaders to really help build the right culture in the organization. Because culture is something which doesn't get built bottoms up. It gets built top down, right? I think that is where marketing can really make a big impact. How you end up, because this is the only function which can actually bring all the functions together, because we do things internally, right? We communicate, right? We communicate internally, we communicate externally, and there are so many things which which we can do. And I think this is the only function in the organization which has the wherewithal of bringing everyone together, making things happen, work on the whole building the culture piece to a very different level altogether. Yeah. But that has to be backed by, I think, the DNA of the organization as well. And I think we were able to do it because the kind of organization I work for. And I have not seen many organizations which believes and which works the way Airtel does.
Very true, because I think unless you do it, like they say, happy employees is equal to happy customers.
Oh, absolutely.
And marketing is a dot connector. Now, last question on this segment, I want to ask you, like they say, and you are revered by your team, I know, and respected by your peers. It takes a village to accomplish something. So how do you ensure you bring up the team? How do you hire talent? How do you nurture them? How do you bring up leaders for tomorrow?
Again, I think it's a fantastic question. Why? Because I think this is the most pertinent point in today's time and age. Because with the advent of the way technology is changing, and with it's changed so much in last just 2 years, right? The new blood needs to be brought in, right? Which is the Gen Zs, and everyone goes into, okay, this is Gen Z. I to be honest with you, I don't believe in that, because I found them to be much more, it's fun working with them. So for me personally, it is. I'm a people's person. I really enjoy working with everyone. But I really am suddenly started enjoying working with this whole new generation, because they are thinking differently. They are, yes, they need, they're slightly different from us, because we were brought up in a very different, scenario and in different ways, right? But their energies and the way, their thinking is very different, right? The way I go about it is, the basic principle is, I am successful only if my team is super successful. So my whole job is to keep enabling, and that's my core job. And I take it very seriously, personally. I have to keep enabling my teams, and it's not just my reportees. So fortunately, I have a large team, going by the if I look at holistically, but I still feel it's a smaller team. But nevertheless, it's not about that I'm going to stick to my next -1, right? As I want to go at all levels and work with everyone, right? And that's when you're able to bring the right, build the right energies, and you understand what's happening, right? So I think working very closely with the teams across the board, doesn't matter whether it's -1 or -2, it does not matter. That is something which is very important, because they get energy out of it. Right? When you as a leader, you go and sit down with a guy, with someone who's just joined as a management trainee, you will suddenly find them, start looking at things differently, and they also want to, because the inherent feeling in every human is to do better in life, right? So why would they not be aligning themselves to something which is actually going to make them, better in their career, in their lives and all that, right? So I think that's the basis of anything and everything which we do. So for example, if you ask me, more than 50% of my team is Gen Zs, right? And we have a right balance, and you will be amazed that we have almost 40% of them, they don't come from B2B marketing. Not overall team, if I look at, 40% of the overall team doesn't come from B2B marketing. They come from sales, they come from product, and I think that is the beauty of, and then you end up building, because you're getting so many different perspectives. and that also keeps excitement, right? And we have, as leaders, we have to invest in their learning, in their upskilling, and it's not something which needs to happen in it's a tick box. You need to seriously own it as a CMO. You will not be able to make it happen if it is about just a tick mark. You need to seriously roll up your sleeves, sit down with them, keep doing that on a regular basis, because that's how you build teams. That's how you build a high performing culture.
I think especially B2B, from my own experience, a lot of my people don't even know about it. In fact, I've just brought out a book on breaking into B2B marketing. So there is a lot of useful content which anyone can read free online to how do you get into B2B marketing, how do you charter your career through it, and so on. So I'll probably provide the link on that.
Please.
Yeah. So tell me now, outside of work, beyond business, what keeps Casey going?
My family, for sure. 2 girls and wife, obviously. Apart from that, I think I've always been into sports. So for me, playing something or the other is extremely important. So, and if I'm not able to play because of whatever injury, because I'm now getting old, I try to make sure that I go out and run whenever I get time. So that's really, really important. But yeah, I think people around me are the reason. I think that's one of the biggest reason what keeps me going, because somehow I always feed on the energies of people around me, and that has always made me go to the next and then next. So I think that's what been.
So now, before leaving, I want you to share some tips, some insights, some advice for all those who are trying to, make a career in B2B marketing or already there, aspiring to be in the shoes of somebody like you. And also for, a lot of the B2B SaaS companies coming out of India, what is few things they can do so India becomes the hotbed of some large new global B2B brands into the next era?
Okay, so let me just answer the second question first. I think we already have some really brilliant examples with us, right? Like MoEngage, Exotel, People Strong, so many such organizations who build in India, they build for the world, right? Zoho, again a big, fantastic example. So I think they're already a complete book which anybody can write. But I think for the upcoming startups and the founders, I think it's all about don't look at marketing just from and this is something which as a founder you need to think at the beginning. It cannot be an afterthought. And I know that somebody can come and say that no, you don't understand, because you need to first get the revenues and then only you can build it. But that will also happen, but you need to have a clear, at least some idea and some picture about how you're going to build the whole function from a brand as well as demand point of view. And everything doesn't cost money. The problem is that we feel that, that to be able to build a brand, you need so much of money. It doesn't. You just need the right person, a right marketer or a right leader who can literally sit with you and plan it for you, so that for the next. See, the problem is never for a startup to go from 0 to 1. The challenge happens when it is about 1 to 10 and 10 to 100 and then 100 to 1000, right? And you have varied experience, and you've been helping so many such startups as well, because the something which has worked for you for an organization when they were going from 0 to 1 is definitely not going to help them when they're moving from 1 to 10 or 1 to 100, right? There are changes which you need to bring in, and that's what I see a big gap today in the that's something which needs to be solved. So that's what I feel, and I think there are a few I've mentioned, and I know that there are so many others which are doing a phenomenal job building for the world. So I think we are in a we are in a great scenario. We are sitting in a gold mine, as if you ask me from that perspective. In terms of what any advice, so no advice as such, Rajesh. I think I have learned 10 years back we met, right? You came to one of the IBM session as the SAP CMO, right, during that time. I think after a long time I just saw, I've heard a CMO who was talking, a B2B CMO who was talking both brand and demand together, right? That inspired me, right? And I'm saying it because and that's the reason why we stayed connected. I mean, we were never like really close, but whenever it was always someone, because at that point 10 12 years back I was like a chotu guy, chotu kid, a kiddo who's a kid who's just thinking about different things and looking up to trying to look at some inspiration. The only thing which is going to make difference for any upcoming marketers or anybody is that you have to be very clear that you have to dirty your hands, roll up your sleeves, go in. Without which, if you think that you'll just hire the right people, you build the right team and they will do it for you, that doesn't work. Doesn't matter how big a company you work for or how small a work company you work for. As a marketing head, as somebody who's coming up, you have to dirty your hands, you have to roll up your sleeves, you need to go in. You should know, nobody is expecting you to know everything, but you need to at least have a sense or knowledge of how the way you're going to build, the team is built, or the functions are, or the systems are. It can, see again, one very typical problem which I've been seeing is that people feel that a new tool came in, automation, account-based marketing platform or something. Just by buying that tool or subscription, I'm solving my problem. The biggest challenge comes in when, okay, you bought it, you got the subscription. Do you have people who understand that? Do you have people who can actually build and build campaigns on those tools and run it, right? And then after 1 year, you just, in one of the meetings, you just end up saying that, no, this is not working. It's not working because of anything else. It's because, we've not really focused on, making sure that the adoption is right. We build the team around it. You think of different models, managed services model where somebody else can run it for you, right? So I think it's, at the end of the day, the only thing for me is, guys, there is no other option but to go down, roll up your sleeves, dirty your hands. That's when you will be able to build things.
So well said. I mean, like they said, right? There was a saying goes, to go to heaven, you might have to die yourself. There is no easier way. So thank you so much, Casey.
Thank you so much.
So nice of you to have spent the time today. And for all our listeners and viewers, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I sure did. And if you like it, hit a like, share it with somebody who you think will benefit, and stay tuned for our future episodes. We will keep bringing such great, insightful leaders and conversations to you, which will decode for you what is real, what is hype, and give you some things that you can right away use. So thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. And thank you, Kaustubh.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.